Oh my, let's see if this works. Do we have a bar there? Yeah, it's there. So I felt like playing the Strat today. There's just no comparison. So is there anybody out there? If you just want to give me a shout so that you can let me know that you can hear me and see me clearly, that would be awesome. So if you guys want to join, I'm in the key of E major. So that means you can play your trusty pentatonic box here on the 9th fret. Right? And the good thing about the E major pentatonic is that you can hit that low E string and let it ring. And then you can kind of hear the harmony and what's going on top there if you just play those scale notes. Rishabh, what's up, my man? And this is not so hard, so even if you're a beginner, I think you can hit the low E string like this, and then you can play the 12th fret, and the 9th fret, and the same thing on the next string. And just with those 4 notes, you can have a lot of fun, right? So you can do... And then, of course... position if you feel ready for that. Now what I'm doing when I'm moving around things like you saw me do in the beginning, I'm just playing the other positions, because you can play those 5 notes that are the pentatonic scale. You can play those 5 notes all over the guitar, right? And the reason we describe them as position is just for simplicity, to sort of see the layout of the notes, but they are just 5 notes. Penta means 5, so you're just playing 5 notes across the guitar, and we only have 12 notes on the guitar that repeat. So in other words, 5 of those notes are always going to be the pentatonic scale. So here's how it sounds. Rashiba or Rishab, first time on the channel. Awesome, man. It's awesome to see you here, and I hope you're doing okay. These are some crazy times, so really, I hope you stay safe, and yeah, why not play guitar inside? That's the best thing you can do. So I hope you guys are checking things out now and playing the E major scale. I'm just gonna do a little quick check here to see that everything is working as it's supposed to. And it is, thank you. So I'm just gonna keep going. So in case you guys are wondering what I'm doing here, I'm getting these notifications whenever something is going on with the GMC website. And I got a notification. I just needed to check that everything was in order, because we wouldn't want the site to be down or anything like that. But it's all working as it should. So let's continue. Thank you so much, Rishab. You know, I haven't done these for a long time, so that could explain why people haven't really found their way here. But I'm really glad you are here. That's what matters to me. So it's awesome. Let's keep going. So this session is as much for you as it is for me, right? So please feel free to shoot if you have a question, a thought, or some random comment, whatever. I'm all yours. Maybe you see me do something you'd like me to dive into, or you have something you've been working on and you need help with, whatever. Usually anything you say is a good starting point for a discussion. So Rishab, I think if you have never learned a scale, you should definitely start with the pentatonic scale. It's such a cliche answer, but I wouldn't be honest if I said anything else, because that's the number one scale for me, and it has been since I started, and it still is. So I would say learn the pentatonic scale before the major scale, simply because it's easier to get started with, and you'll understand as you get more advanced that all you got to do to achieve the major scale is to basically add 2 notes to that scale. It's a bit simplified, but pretty much that's it. So if you've never played a pentatonic scale, here it is. And I'm going to do it in the key. I'm going to show you the E major pentatonic scale. So in order to get that down, we got to play on the 12th fret here on the high E string, and then the 9th fret. And then we're going to do the same on the B string. And then on the G string, we're going to do 11, 9. And then same on the D string, 11, 9. Same on the A string, 11, 9. And on the E string, we're going to play the same as on the high E string, which means 12, 9. So we're doing 12, 9, 12, 9, 9. No, sorry, 11, 9, 11, 9, 11, 9, 12, 9. Right? So if you play an E major chord, this is going to work great. Now, if you'd rather do a minor scale, all you got to do is move this up 3 frets. Okay, we started here, so 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do... play the exact same shape, but up here instead of down here, right? So you're going to hear now, if I hit the low E note, I can either play it there, or I can move it up and do... and that's going to give me the minor sound. So if you can just remember this shape, this means that you're basically already adding a lot of different tools to your repertoire, because all you have to do is hit that low E string, and you can do... right? And it sounds like a major scale. Or you start up here, and you do... and you get that minor sound. Now, of course, these are examples just to show you the shape. When I play music, I would probably go a bit more adventurous and not just play the scale up and down, simply because that tends to sound like an exercise. So when playing music, maybe I will just stay on a couple of those notes, like 2 or 3 notes, and fool around with them a little bit. So you'll notice I took that 11th fret on the G string, and then I went to the 9th fret on the B string, and then I went to the 12th fret on the B string. So, low E note there, and whoops. And then just back to the 9th fret. So I'm just showing you an example, basically, but here is where you can choose if you want to be death metal or Stevie Ray Vaughan, right? It's all up to you. It can be found within those notes. Or maybe add a few more extra for death metal, but you get the point. Sorry, not my cup of tea. But anyway. I prefer that. So. Exactly, Rishab. That's the perfect conclusion there. Pentatonic could go with major or minor key. And all you gotta do is remember to move that shape 3 frets up. Or correspondingly, or I can't find the word, but you should obviously move it down if you start from here. Play the E minor, and you want to go to E major, you move it down, right? That's a brain fart right there. But anyway, so having this simple concept in mind, how would it sound if I tried to switch between major and minor? Let's try that. So I'm going to start in major. Hear me play like several notes at the same time, so it becomes a chord. We don't need to care about what the chord name is. We just care about those notes being in that scale, right? I'm playing on the 11th fret D string, And then all the other ones here are on the 9th fret. So we have a basic chord there. That sounds good, right? Now let's move up to the E minor scale, E minor pentatonic. I can play the same chord, right? And then back to E major. Now, of course, as you get more advanced, there are much smoother ways to do this, as opposed to just jumping around like that. But this is a good start. Again, we're just playing 5 notes. That's what penta means. And the reason we're playing this shape is just because it's an easy way to memorize those 5 notes in that particular place. But those 5 notes are all over the guitar. So as you get more advanced, you're going to learn to find those notes on other places as well. Because again, we only have 12 notes to choose from, which means that 5 of those notes are going to be the ones we're looking for. And the other 6, we're going to try to avoid them if we want to be in the pentatonic scale. Good evening, Chris. Dio, what's up? And we have Bastian here as well. Love GMC, guys. One question. I've been playing for 8 years, but feels like I've hit a brick wall and I'm always using the same licks. What piece of material would you recommend to expand? That's a cool question. Eric B, this is a vintage Icon Strat, so it's a really cheap one. However, I put in some pretty high-end bare knuckle Apache pickups in there, so I get a pretty cool sound from it. Okay, so Bastian, that's a good question. So if you're stuck, you've hit a brick wall, how do you get past that? And trust me, that's a super common problem. I get that question quite a bit at GMC, and I actually struggle with it myself. However, I've played for a long time now, so I've learned how to avoid that. And the answer is not always simple because it depends why you've hit a brick wall. A lot of times just learning a new song or a new solo or a new lick, whatever, is a great way to get past that brick wall. You need some input. And the reason the brick wall phenomenon happens is usually because we get too comfortable with our own playing, right? And we don't want to go outside of the comfort zone because that makes us feel like we suck. So we stay within that comfort zone and we get better and better at the few things we know, and we're having bigger and bigger problems learning new stuff because the difference between what you can play and what you can't play just is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as you progress. So eventually you put yourself in the corner there and you desperately need to get out of it. Now, what kind of material you're going to choose to learn to get out of the rut is a very different story. And what I usually recommend you do is to start from your own musical preferences. A lot of people think they got to go to their, guitar instructor or to their friend and ask them. And that can work to a certain extent, but you know best what you love listening to. That has to be your starting point. Now, if you love listening to, Yngwie, and you're a beginner, then you're going to have problems, right? However, fear not, because I'm going to plug the GMC website. If you go search for Yngwie beginner, we break it down for you, even if you're a beginner. However, that's not my point. My point is that you can still extract something musical out of whatever your musical preference is. So if it's Yngwie, you can still learn to do some basic harmonic minor. Whatever, there's always a way to simplify things. But the big advantage with this method is that you're not going to get discouraged. You're not going to put the guitar down because you're going to love the sound of what you're attempting to play. Now, if you do the opposite and go ask some random dude what you should practice, well, you might hear, oh, why don't you do this? Yeah, that's not going to work for you. For most people, that doesn't work. Okay, so that's the basic idea. Start with whatever your musical preference is and try to go a little bit out of your comfort zone. Okay, so if you're inspired by this stream, you could, for example, learn one of the licks I'm playing. That's a good starting point. However, if you don't like the style I'm playing, you can still grab my advice but apply it to some other style that you prefer. Cool. Raj, we're having a session right now. I don't think that theory is a good way to get out of the rut for most beginners. If you're like a struggling songwriter, then yes, that could be the but if you're trying just to get into guitar playing, a theory doesn't really help. It can be a cool tool, but what you need is musical input. You need to learn to play stuff. That's going to take you to the next level. Cool. I'm glad you like it, Bastian. I think it's more important to understand sort of the concept rather than I give you some, oh, play this and play that. You know, I love doing that as well. But if you can understand the thought process and the reason why you're feeling stuck in a rut, then it's going to be easy for you to fix that problem by yourself, because you are going to be the best problem guy to solve it, or girl, whatever, because you know yourself better than I know you. Rishabh, feel free to shoot if you have more questions. Just shoot. Cool, so you have the vintage V6 Thomas blog. That's also a cool guitar. I think it has some more advanced electronics, but other than that, it's pretty much the same guitar. Some cool comment by Ivan there. Are you saying that you got inspiration from playing like guitar related games? Is that it? Major shredding technique. Whew. You mean shredding in the key of major? I don't think today is a good shredding day for me, but let's do something like but I switched to E minor there just for the fun of it. And I did this little riff, which actually came up, I think, last live stream, and it seems to stick because it's a fun thing to do. So we got a question there about shredding, so I'm just going to throw out this lick so to give you something to bite into. So, David, what's up? If you want to try this, it's in the key of E minor. And it's a legato thing, and you can play, or you should play if you want to do it, 2, 3, 5. Starting on the low E string, right? 2, 3, 5. And it's the same thing on the A string, 2, 3, 5. And you're going to notice that I'm hitting the first note on each string with a pick, or with my, can you see it? With this finger on the right hand, right? So it's, so that's kind of the trick here. And And then the last note, I actually pluck it with this finger. So it's like pick, and then that finger and this finger. And if you want to get that cool tone, you can dampen the notes a little bit with your palm here. So, as opposed to, it gives us more of a percussive sound, which I think is a bit more shreddy because it's a bit more staccato, it's more punchy. So you're going to notice that I'm using the legato technique here, which actually in Latin, I think, means smoothly. However, the legato technique in combination with some palm muting still going to give you a staccato sound. And you're going to see that guys like Rick Graham is really good at this, basically using a legato technique and making it sound like picking because you get that staccato feel. And part of the key here is really to mute the string. And then I end it with a really accented note there on the 2nd fret D string. So that's basically our fast riff there. And then it's up to you if you what you wanna do around this riff. It's a cool thing. It throws in some tension in there, but it's still very open. You can do whatever you want. You could either do like a, throw in some chords in there. Or maybe you could do like, I don't know, maybe just some solo notes like. Cool. So we have more questions there. Can you shed some light on creating some beautiful chords progression like major 9 and all? Cool. We can try to speak about that. You have my dream spec for a Strat. Well, this is a cheap Strat, so if this is your dream, you can be happy because you can buy this new for like $300. But you're gonna have to throw in, if you want it to sound like this, you're gonna have to throw in some other pickups. So I have some bare knuckle Apache in here. Cool, play some effing guitar, bro. Hey, I'm stuck with the piano. What am I gonna do? Thank you, sir. Thank you, Millennium. Okay, so can I play some Steel Panther? No, but I can steal some Panther. No, just kidding. No, I can't. But he's a fun dude, so he has my support. So major 9. Oh, let's see. Let's do it this way. Let's pick a key where the major 9 note is an open string. That way it becomes a little easier. So that means D major, right? If you play the key of D major, then the open E is gonna be that add 9. So every chord you play with the open E string is gonna sound a bit add 9-ish. So let's try this. Pretty nice, isn't it? Let me think. So if you want to try this, play the key of D major and then pick any voicing where you have that open E string. That's one way to look at it, you know. I think it can get boring to start explaining chord theory in these chats. It takes a lot of time, and I don't think in those terms. I usually just think in terms of having a big scale here on the fretboard, and then I just grab random voicings. I don't even know what the name is. I just see if my fingers can find a few notes in that scale and play them all together and see how it sounds. And I take it from there. sorry, Javier, I don't even know what joy division is. It sounds like it's something related to happiness. So that's why I'm playing in the key of D major here. Can you feel the joy? I'm gonna divide these notes of joy into a solo. So technically it's gonna be a joy division. Although it's probably not at all what you're asking about. We can hear the joy in here. Cool. So we have a question about landing notes there. Again, I'm not a big fan of the theory way of looking at this, where you sort of analyze the chords and you think, oh, those are the root notes of the chords. That's going to be the strong notes. And then if I want to add a little bit of tension, I can play, the sharp 5 or the sharp root note, and basically. You get a whole system that doesn't involve a lot of music, but rather like a theoretical way of looking at it. And that's fine. That's been taught for ages on all the music schools. And, it's all good. I've done that myself, and it doesn't inspire me. That's it. There's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't work for me. So I'm not going to sit here and try to teach you that. You can either go like classic jazz theory, or if you want the rock version of it, you can check out like Marty Friedman's REH videos where he explains just really simple approach to nailing those chord notes for like simple chords. But either way, I don't think in those terms. Most of the time I'm playing in one key. So if the key is E major, I'm just gonna think in terms of E major, and I'm gonna use my ears to create melodies. So you're gonna say, wait a minute, what if my ears aren't up to the task? Well, it's because you need to practice them, right? And I don't believe in standard ear training where you sit down and, oh, what interval is this? Oh, that's a fifth. That's fine as well. You can do that if you want. Nothing wrong with it. But it just doesn't work that well for me. What works for me is finding a cool backing track, let's say in the key of E major, or not even using a backing track, just using your E note. Playing the E major scale, play a few random notes. Yeah, why not? That sounds okay. How could I respond to that in a cool way to have the music continue? Okay, well, why not? That's a response right there, right? How can I keep going? Well, I'm gonna reuse the same concept. Okay, I don't know if you see the point here, but I like to improvise my way around melodies. And this is something that can be practiced. Now, if you think in these terms, you don't really have to analyze what is a landing note, what is a strong note, what's a chord note, because you will be using a better tool, which is your ears. And trust me, if you like listening to music, then your ears are up for the task, right? If you enjoy musical input, then you can practice to do musical output. That's as simple as it is, right? We don't have to complicate things and start, you have to play 2/5 volumes and look at the root notes, and then you can play the third, and who cares? You can do that if you want to, but I'm telling you there's an easier way, and you can do it because you enjoy listening to music. And to me, that seems like a better approach for most people, including myself. That's why I do it. So I like to think in terms of key. What's the key? Okay, the key is E major. Once I've established that, I like to think in terms of call and response. Where's the call? Okay, there's a call right there. How can I respond to that? Okay, there's a response. Cool, so I got something going. Let's do it. Right? Simplifying things. If you're a beginner, you're not going to be able to do that. That's perfectly fine. However, I'm going to plug GMC now. If you go to GMC and search for my name, Christopher Dahl, you'll find I have a lot of lessons on improvisation. And I also have like jamming for beginners. And in there, I show a really simple method, which involves not knowing any scale, not knowing anything about anything. You just need a guitar that's in tune, and then you can go. So what you can do is take your guitar and play the low E note. And let's say you don't know any scale, so you're going to use your ears. No, I don't like that sound. Well, that's better, right? Okay, I have one note that works there. Playing the low E note, and I have one note that works. No, I don't like that. It's okay. How does it sound with the first note? Well, that's okay, right? So all of a sudden, I have two notes, and I have that bass note, so... Well, why not? Why not? It's music, right? So, without knowing anything, just having a tuned guitar and listening a little bit, we can start to play music. So, what am I trying to tell you here? I'm just trying to make you understand that the solutions are much closer at hand than you think. You probably think that you need to listen to what X, Y, and Z are saying about this and that, and you need to watch 1,000 videos, and you need to do a whole bunch of things. Well, you don't. You just need to find a way to have fun with your guitar. And for me, this approach works really well. For other people, it's maybe going to be play your favorite songs, play your favorite chords. And for someone else, it's going to be to sit with a metronome and do whatever, you know. We're all different. But there are easier solutions, and you should choose those first. And later, on top, then, if you have that as your foundation, you can add scales on top of that. You can add theory, you can add technique, and it's all gonna stack perfectly on this foundation because your foundation is made out of music. That's what matters. No Problem Raj and Millennium Tapa Magar. So I'm just playing a little bit to show you the kind of stuff that I like playing, and they're all based around this kind of thought process. That's how I practiced. I like 5 or 6 years ago, I stopped practicing the usual way, where you maybe try to learn a solo and you focus on some exercises, you repeat, and you spend a whole bunch of time, and then you record your stuff, and then you go to the next thing. I didn't really like that cycle, so I started doing everything improvisation based. And that's where a lot of these ideas come from, because I realized they were simpler solutions to all of the common problems that people experience on the guitar. And since what I do is I run the GMC website, which does instructional. We're all about teaching guitar. So it struck me that, hey, maybe we should let this kind of thinking also be visible on the site and not only do the traditional teaching. So one thing led to the other, and now I'm really, a preacher of this method, and it just works. People don't want to do difficult stuff. They want to play music, right? And there's nothing easier than just grab a backing track and maybe play a few notes from the pentatonic scale and take it from there. Do you know Steve Terryberry? Yeah, I'm the one who gave birth to Steve Terryberry. He watched my videos on Ultimate Guitar, and then he started replicating my stuff, and, you know, the rest is history. Guitar Me is here. Awesome. Sam pick, thank you. Raj, that's true. I've skipped the metal pick, but I can grab it here just for the sake of tradition and see how it sounds. It actually works really well on this guitar. It does give a little bit of high-end edge. Let's try this. It's even thinner. Yeah, it actually sounds really nice on this guitar. I don't know if you can tell the difference here. So, metal pick. Whoops. And then plastic pick. So this is a little duller. I get more high end out of the metal pick. So I'm just gonna play a little bit with it. Thanks, Raj, for the suggestion. But one thing that's good with the plastic pick, I think it might work better when I'm doing fingerstyle stuff or hybrid picking stuff. Because the plastic pick sounds more like my fingers. My fingers are more dull and warm, whereas this metal pick is more bright and a little bit harsher, I would say, but not in a bad way. So when I use a pick with my fingers, I think this actually probably works better because it's a more balanced tone. However, it's also okay. Pretty nice. I think I got myself out of tune. That's a pretty good job. I haven't played this guitar for a while. There we go. That's what a little bending can do for you. So if you guys want to do that big chord kind of thing, it's pretty much suspended chords, and they're good because they work in a lot of places in the different scales. So while sticking to the key of E major, I can play this on a whole bunch of places. The reason being, of course, there aren't too many notes in the chords, even though it looks like I'm playing a lot of notes, but a lot of them are just repetitions. So it looks like this: bar chord on the 2nd fret, and then we're gonna fret with our ring finger here on the D string. So we actually have 2 of the low notes on the same fret there. That's kind of the point with it. It sounds a little bit different than a normal power chord, right? This sounds has a more openness to it and a bit of a different kind of bass thing going. And then we're just gonna play the 4th fret here with a ring finger and a little finger, and then never mind. And then we're just gonna do those 2 notes on the same fret there, on the 2nd fret. So most of the notes are on the 2nd fret and 2 of them on the 4th fret. And what we're playing here is like a suspended 4th. So F sharp suspended 4th, in case anybody cares. It's more important how it sounds though. It sounds kind of big, at least it does here. I don't know, it sounds more. I hope we're not getting tons of distortion. Maybe I should try to listen to myself. I hope we're not getting tons of distortion. It sounds okay. Is sound okay, or is it sparkling, or is it crackling? I mean, sparkling. So I think actually it's the pick change that inspired me to play the chords. It just, with this little tiny plastic pick, it's okay, but it doesn't ring the same as... Cool, sounds good. Thanks guys for confirming. So tips for hybrid picking. Well, you can find lots of exercise out there. It's good, you can do that. I didn't do that. Hybrid picking is probably the only technique that I never practiced back in the days with strict exercises. I've done strict exercises for all of those common techniques, sweeping, tapping, or picking, whatever. But I didn't do it for hybrid picking. I didn't know what hybrid picking was. I just discovered when I was like playing over like slow blues, jamming, and with a pretty clean sound, I discovered that I didn't know a lot of licks and notes or whatever. So maybe I knew this, and I discovered that if I play the same thing but using this bad mother finger, it sounded totally different. So what it did, it gave me a tool. I could play the few licks I knew, I could recycle them and make them sound like different licks. And that's why I did it. So it stuck with me, and a lot of times it was pretty cool to get that snappy sound. So I've been doing this for ages without realizing it is something cool that guitarists are, especially nowadays, aspiring for. It's like a modern technique. I didn't know that, and I didn't really care. I just found it usable. So if you want to practice this the way I did it, you should play your standard blues licks, but try to have as much of finger picking as possible. It doesn't have to be strict. Use it at your convenience. So if it's more handy to first pick with a plastic pick, then do that, and then go for the finger, right? I think that's a cool way to approach it. You have to get comfortable so you can really snap the string and be a little bit aggressive, because that's when the technique is going to come to life and you're going to realize the advantage of it. Some people don't use it that way. They just see it as a really handy tool to play like one note per string. So instead of, if let's say you're doing legato, instead of doing that like with a sweeping motion, if you look at my right hand, you can see I'm constantly doing downstrokes there. This is called sweeping, right? Because I have a constant sweep motion, and it's especially obvious when I play fast. I can just sweep. Now, some people think it's more handy to use hybrid picking there. So I would do pick, hybrid, 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 right? Whoa. Seems I have to practice. Now, and I would agree with the latter because it is handy. You can dedicate or I'm missing the word there, but you can have one finger per string, so you know where the fingers are, and chances are you won't miss the note. I'm sure you've experienced that. Sometimes when you try to hit a string, you miss it, and everything goes to hell, basically. Now, that's not going to happen if you assign one finger to each string, because you can place them there in advance, and you won't be missing anything. Trust me. That's really handy, I think. Yeah, let's play a little bit with that technique. So let me just show you the notes in case you guys want to try the same thing here. I'm I'm in the key of E major now, and I'm going to choose this fingering right here on the 4th fret, simply because it's a bit less stretchy than this. So we have 4, 5, 7, and I'm playing that with a pick and then 2 hammer-ons. And then I'm going to do on the next string 4, 6, 7, and the first note here is going to be played with my hybrid finger. And that's kind of the secret sauce here. So again, I'm muting the notes a little bit with my palm, and I'm trying to give them a bit of punch, as you can hear. And it helps me get that hybrid picking, helps me get that tone, and it also helps me not hit the wrong strings, as I was saying earlier. Milton, you're an ex-GMC student. That's awesome, man. Do you remember your forum username? Maybe I remember you. Milton, you should come back because we have some fun stuff going on. I submitted my first rec take. So basically rec is where instructors grade the students. Typically instructors don't submit those, but I wanted to do that. So I'm really nervous now if the instructors are gonna like my take. I tried to play country solos. So it's not my usual cup of tea, but I spent months trying to learn that thing, so yeah. Anyhow, so you should check that out at GMC. Of course, you don't have to be a member to do that. You can just watch my take and have fun with it. And also, we have a collab where I actually sing, so you don't want to miss that. Yeah, it's a bit scary sounding. Something like that, right? We have an Asian username, which I can't pronounce. I'm really sorry about that. I would love to learn to understand your characters, but the alphabet just seems beyond me. Learning your alphabet feels as hard as you learning to code or program or something. So I'm really in awe that you guys learned that at such a young age. Anyhow, how to create melodic arpeggios lick? That's a cool question. I love it. I love melodic arpeggios. I just need to practice them a little bit. Let's try with a metal pick. Okay, but anyway, I can show you the basics anyway, even though I would probably need to warm up a little bit more for that kind of stuff. What I think, or what works for me when I try to be more melodic with arpeggios, as opposed to doing it this way, you know, like whatever, you know, do it the shreddy way, which isn't that melodic, right? It's just I suck. It sounds like that. Anyhow, I gotta practice that. That's not very melodic, right? It's just fast. So the difference I find is maybe slowing it down a little bit, and when you slow it down, that gives you the opportunity to weave in some additional notes, and that is key. So it helps here if you have the ability to see the arpeggios within a scale. That's a bit more advanced, but basically it's called diatonic arpeggios, and within a simple scale like, you know, E major, there are a bunch of arpeggios, right? One of them being A major. So this arpeggio can be seen within the E major scale. Now, just if you don't understand this, try to think of it conceptually. You have a whole bunch of notes there, and they're all gray. And if you can pick out a few of them that are red, and those make up for an arpeggio. Now, if you play that, it's just the basic arpeggios. But when you add those extra gray notes, that's when you get the melody, right? So that's the non-melodic version. Here's the melodic version. So what I'm doing is I'm adding additional notes from the diatonic scale. Now, if you have no clue what that means, just skip the last part and think of adding extra notes. And do what I told you earlier, use your ears to find those extra notes. That's the best way anyway. It's much better than learning those scales and, you know, looking at dots, and that stuff sucks. Just hit that E major chord, start your A major arpeggio, which I'm about to show you. We're gonna play the 12th note here on the A string. Sorry, the 12th fret. And then 11th fret on the D string, 9th fret on the G string, 10th fret on the B string, 9th fret on the high E string, and 12th fret on the high E string. That's it. And then we're gonna go down and do the same thing. Okay, that's a basic A major arpeggio. Sounds okay over E major. Sounds good, but a bit clean, right? It's a bit boring. It's just too perfect, in my opinion. So what we do want to do here is add some notes in between, and I find it easiest to do that on the top E string. So here's an extreme example, which is going to sound a bit fusion style. That's pretty cool, I think. Now listen to that in context. But that's a bit fusion sounding. You don't have to be that extreme and do that. You can just do, and then you're gonna sound normal if that's what you want. Just skip the 10th fret. So, right? Sounds pretty good. And you can do that little fiddly diddly legato thing. So, pretty nice. 12 and then 11, hammer on, pull off, pull off. That's, there you have, to me this is starting to get melodic here. And then we go down. So. And as you get more advanced, you can use that concept and maybe do the descending version with the different arpeggios. And so on and so forth. And then you can expand this into anything and just totally move things around on the guitar. Warning, here comes a plug. If you like this, check out my arpeggio etude at GMC. That's just doing all that stuff all over the place for 1 minute, and then you can just repeat that. if you want to learn all those shapes. Can you play B minor arpeggio? You mean in the key of E major? I don't think it fits. But we can switch to the key of B minor perhaps and do. That's yeah, B minor there, right? So which fret should it start with? You know what? I'm just going to show you a different shape here in the key of B minor. And I'm going to do a more difficult shape. Let's see if I can pull this off. That's nice. So let's do this. I gotta practice that. But it's nice because it takes you into fusion land right after. Or does it? Takes you into crappy land. That's better. Oh, crappy land is back. So why not? I'm just going to show you this one. It's a bit trickier, but what the heck. I showed you an easier one, which is also difficult, but this gets even harder. So 7th fret here. And then we're going to play the 10th fret on the low E string. So we get 7, 10. And we're going to do that with a hammer on. And then we're going to play the 9th fret on the A string and the 9th fret again on the D string. And this is the difficult part, right? Right? And yes, it does remind of Paul Gilbert or Razor X, I would agree. So we get... And then we're going to play the 9th or 7th fret on the G string and do a hammer on to the 11th fret. So this is a pretty cool shape already. Skip the B string and play 7 and 10, which is hard. Sorry. Is anybody still here? So, but you can just grab, if you want, the first 5 strings. That's already going to be hard enough. But it's nice because that thing can be moved around. It's good when the open strings work for you, so it doesn't sound like you messed up. Anyhow, you play that, Chen. That's awesome. Awesome. And this is, I like this shape, although it's hard. It's more improvisation friendly, and I can see if I can show you. Right? You can throw in all those little melodic embellishments in between the arpeggio note. And that's what we've been speaking about the last 10 minutes here, how to weave in some melodies within those arpeggios, because we got our first question there about how to create melodic arpeggios. So so I can keep going. Yeah, I can move the shape up. I move it diatonically within the key of E major. Now, this is just a fancy way of saying that within the key of E major, you have more, or sorry, B major, you have more arpeggios than just the B major arpeggio. You have the C sharp minor 7 flat 5. You have the D major. And all those are in the key of B major. So if you have... You can play that within the key of B major. So this is a time where you might realize that, hey, okay, it's pretty cool to know some theory. But I'm not sure it's worth the effort for most people. It's more fun maybe just mess around with one of those shapes within like a scale shape that you recognize. Like you played in B minor here. Sorry, I've been saying B major the whole time. I meant B minor. I'm getting tired. I should probably stop. I'm gonna get myself a little bit of sugar here. That helps for like 5 minutes, and then you get even more tired, but what the heck? Let's try it. My Slavic alphabet is non-existent. My apologies. But I can see a thumbs up and I like it. Oh, I think we have one of my kids. Just a second. Oh, wow, vad fina! Men om du kommer nära här, då kommer du synas på kameran. Så att, okay, so my daughter is in the room. We see if I can keep this up. You know what they say about us men and our ability to do many things at the same time. Här kan du se vad de skriver. De håller på att prata med mig här. Ja, det gör de. So is there anybody who speaks Swedish here? Är det någon som pratar svenska här? Min dotter, hon pratar bara svenska. So I don't know if we have any Swedes here. Because then you would understand what I'm saying. She's hiding behind the sofa now. What we spoke about, we were doing like B minor something. She's really pleased. She has some new clothes you want to show. I have this would be, I think it's a 6-screw bridge, and it's not blocked, but it's not floating either. It's just pushed down, right? The standard kind of traditional Strat kind of tremolo. Can we say that B minor arpeggios start with the 9th fret? No, not the 9th fret, or it starts on the 7th fret if you want to go for this note. Hur syns du? Det är kul. Och du har fått den där som ska ansluta till skärmen. Okej, men jag kommer ut sen när jag är klar. She wants to go biking. Do I use bias FX? No, I don't. Sorry. So if you guys want to know my setup here, it's just a guitar straight into like an MXR EQ, and then it's to like a full tone OCD overdrive pedal, and then into the Big Sky Strymon Big Sky reverb. And that's actually all. There's no amp in here involved. So the reason it might sound like an amp is because of that full tone OCD, and then I have like a speaker simulator on the Strymon. So it's a nice setup. I like things simple. I've done like digital for a long time. I have a Kemper. I've used that a lot. But right now I'm really into clean stuff and analog. If I have to use some kind of amplification, I want it to sound clean and analog. Cool, guys. So this has been an awesome session. I should probably start doing these ones later in my evening, because I noticed we had more people in here now. So you might find me again this time, but usually I've done them earlier in the day. So I don't know if you're in the US, for example, then that might be your early morning. But I'm in Europe, Stockholm, Sweden here. So I do them like around lunchtime. I've been doing them, but we'll see. But stick around and be sure to join me at the GMC website as well. Yeah, have a really good weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your great feedback. Have a good one. Cheers.